afternoon again, everybody. My name is Michael von Nich. I am very happy to welcome you in the celebration of the 15th anniversary of the Joint European Summer School on Technology and Learning. I'm speaking to you in the capacity of the chair of the summer school. I have been working with the community and many of you for several years organizing this event. And I'm very happy to see you all here. I would like to say a little bit about the program. So first, I will spend 2 minutes to present you EATEL, the European Association on Technology Enhanced Learning, the organization behind the summer school. Then we will have a very interesting session about the beginning of the summer school, and we have 4 founders of the event today with us: Catherine, Ralph, Denise, and Friederling, and they will introduce themselves in that session. We will then go through all the summer schools from the first one in 2005 and until today. There will be a possibility to ask questions and participate in the discussion and also share some of your memories. Then in the second part of the event, we will present an activity framework for the summer school. We will also talk about how the summer school is reflecting the development of the field of technology enhanced learning over the years. Then we will talk about the new project JTELSS Doctoral Education in Technology Enhanced Learning that aims to help all doctoral candidates in this field and support them. We will briefly introduce the upcoming survey on doctoral education in technology enhanced learning, and we will conclude the formal part with the announcement of the JTELSS Summer School 2021. A very cautious and careful announcement, of course. After that, there will be a possibility for anyone to share more memories, more questions, and discussions in an online party. We will try to give the word to anyone who wish to share anything or say what you would like to say. Okay, this is the program for today. And I will go now to introducing the European Association of Technology Enhanced Learning. And actually for this formal task, I have a message from the current president of the European Association of Technology and Learning, Marco Kaltz. And I would like just to play that for you.
My name is Marco Kaltz. I'm president of the European Association of Technology and Enhanced Learning, and I'm very happy to welcome you all here. I would like to spend 2 minutes saying something about EATEL. It's a European association that has been established in 2007 in Germany as a non-profit organization with the purpose to foster research and education on technology enhanced learning and to network in Europe. That was the main purpose of funding this association. The association has 2 flagship events, which you might know. That's the European Conference on Technology Enhanced Learning and the Joint European Summer School that we are organizing already for quite some years. We are very happy at the moment that we are also having a European project on doctoral education in TEL, the JTELSS Erasmus project, where we are aiming at improving the cross-institutional and cross-country collaboration to give kind of a European support infrastructure and networking for PhD students.
All right, that was a short intro. Here are some links for the flagship events of the association, and I would like to actually go further and call for Catherine Millay, who is one of the founders of the summer school, to briefly present the very beginning of the summer school and actually from where it came from. Catherine?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. So the floor is yours now for the beginning.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much, Mikael, for inviting me to participate in this conference. I have to say, it brings back so many wonderful memories. The first years of the ProLearn Summer School, the beginning of the JTELSS Summer School. For those of you who don't know, many of us were involved in a European network of excellence in the area of technology-enhanced learning with a focus on workplace learning. And that's why we have this first slide that sort of shows you some of the research topics that we were conducting in the early ProLearn days. And they were also reflected in the summer school that we organized, our first one in 2005. So the areas of personalized and adaptive learning, brokerage systems, interactive media, knowledge work management, business models, and so on. These are the first topics that we discussed. Now, the networks of excellence had, of course, a mission for joint research, but of course they had a mission to train people, and that's where we come in with the Academy. And one of our activities was the creation of the summer school that actually took place for the first time in September 2005. And I think you can go to the next slide now, which just shows the rest of the research issues that were being conducted. Now maybe we can go to the next slide to sort of show you the idea. We had many goals. One of them was to provide an in-depth overview of the state of the art in research. And we used to say that the network of excellence brought together the disparate fields of research that make up technology-enhanced learning and trying to bring in people from across Europe into our summer school. We wanted to provide a forum for multidisciplinary discussion among the researchers and the PhD students, and also to provide a framework for young entrepreneurs. At the time, we thought not all PhD students are going to go into research. Perhaps some of them are also going to want to create their own company. And of course, the idea that a PhD is not just writing your PhD, although that's a hefty part of it. It's also training to become a future member of the faculty. So we also thought that professional training was a very important part of the summer school. So maybe we should go to the next slide. We basically had a format. I have to say, I don't know what the format is quite yet today, but a format that we used for many years with the idea of lectures from prominent professors in the morning, then workshops in the afternoon where people could put their hands on the technologies. And of course, because we were a consortium of technology-enhanced learning, we had lots of people who wanted to test their tools in during the summer school. And we had a tool called Flash Meeting, we had a tool called Controlios, and the workshops were one of the places where people could actually go and test those different tools. And in addition to that, we used to have, well, I just say the first summer school, we really thought because we were getting money from the commission, we have to make sure that the students are busy all the time. So we had thematic breakfasts, we had thematic lunches, we had students working in the evening, and the summer school was extremely dense. And I think, as you'll see when we tell you the story, over the years we decided that perhaps we needed to lighten up and also get the students more involved in the organization. So maybe we should go on to the next slide. So yeah, as I said before, we felt that we needed to give people the background in research, we needed to give them training in how to write their PhD student, but also maybe train them to become future members of the faculty and maybe even become future entrepreneurs. And there you can see Ralph Tuklama and myself on our first opening of what became the JTELSS Summer School. Both of us were involved in the organization, which took place in Chile and in Turkey. And I think maybe that's enough for the beginning.
All right. Thank you very much, Catherine. Let me see if I have the next slide, which is actually a panel. And I would like also to invite on the stage Ralph Tuklama, Denise, and Fridolin Wild for this panel. I think all four of them have been among the founders from the very beginning or even from before the first summer school. And let's start with a very brief introductions. Maybe you all can say who you are and what you were doing in 2005 during the time of the first summer school.
This is Denis. I'm really glad to see a lot of well-known faces around here, around the table, the virtual table, so I'm really glad. Yeah, so obviously we started in the framework of ProLearn, where one of the main activity was about introducing multimedia in education and then, you know, promoting research around it. Then this is what we have been trying to do in the framework of the summer school for all that time.
Ralph?
Yes, yeah. So my name is Ralf Klammer. I'm from RWTH Aachen University in Germany. I'm a computer scientist, and I also worked in the ProLearn network of excellence. Yeah, so more by accident than by as a career goal. Yeah, so Wolfgang Neidl was initiating this network. He was a former professor at my university and was knowing my boss, and they decided to do something in technology enhanced learning, and that became my one of my missions, because I had always the idea to do a summer school, and that was I think one of the better ideas we had. So in ProLearn, after 15 years now, we can tell that many of the things we thought that would work haven't worked. Yeah, but the summer school is still here, and I'm really proud that this is going for such a long time. Yeah, so and with such wonderful people, many of them are here to celebrate this 15th birthday, and I'd like to thank all of you for all your support in all the years.
Thank you, Ralph. Now, Fridolin.
Hi, glad to meet you. I'm now a freshly baked professor in technology enhanced learning at the Institute of Educational Technology of the Open University, and just changed on the 1st of June from Oxford Brookes. And I'm still based in Oxford. What have I been doing around that time when we founded the summer school? I was just a young research assistant, had just finished my studies, and at that point in time, study programs weren't necessarily that streamlined. So I had studied for, I think, 11 semesters, taking 1 or 2 semesters of leave of that as well. And had founded a company that crashed, sort of, or almost. It wasn't really worth it, and the plan was wrong, and I had decided to go into research because I liked that more. Tackling new problems and being allowed them to solve them as well. And had applied for ProLearn for the project for the post that Gustav Neumann was offering in Vienna at the Vienna University of Economics. So in my case, it was not random. I had really looked for interesting offers and looked particularly in technology enhanced learning, as that was something that I have been doing over years before. And then joined there and co-led first the interoperability work package, and then helped as the minor cog in the wheels, Ralph, Catherine, Denis, to launch that. So over a couple of years in ProLearn, I helped there, and also helped then with the sustainability vehicle, taking a leading role in establishing the association, EATEL, of which I am a founding member, and the first treasurer, which I stayed on then for way too long, because there wasn't anyone that could be found to replace me, sadly. And have been in the background of probably 10 summer schools in total, some of which I also attended until I finally was able to retire from that job. Yeah, that was short. You asked for short, yeah?
Yes, thank you, Friederling. Now, the panel will have the following format. I prepared 2 very general questions for all the panelists, but then we will continue with any questions from the audience. You are free after these 2 general questions to either turn on your camera and microphone and ask, or you can put your questions in the chat, and then I will also go through the chat and ask all those questions there. The first question to all the panelists is, you are still now in the TEL field, and maybe you can try to look back and tell us very generally how the field has changed in 15 years and what it was in 2005. So what was the context of the beginning?
Well, maybe I'll try to answer the question. I am not a technologist. I'm coming from second language and culture acquisition. I was very fortunate to be working in engineering school, where the people from the computer science department and the networks department, always looking for applications, got me involved in these projects. So I would say in the 90s, I was working on a lot of projects where we were building the infrastructures for high-speed networks. So we were doing a lot of computer-supported collaborative learning. And I felt like in the beginning, maybe starting in the 90s and the beginning of 2000, we were really building information systems, developing learning objects and connecting learning objects with metadata and things like that. So for me, those were the big questions. And I think that's how I came into ProLearn. I had been working in a project that was called Universal. We then created the EduConnects platform, which was very similar to the Ariadne platform, with the idea that by sharing content, we improve the quality and perhaps we improve the efficiency, because we can see we can build on what our colleagues are doing. So for me, those were very important. That was a lot of the work that was being done at the time that I felt very important for improving the quality of language teaching and second culture acquisition.
I have something to say here as well. What I always found fascinating about technology enhanced learning is the T. So that there is kind of a activity theory-like way of thinking of creating tools that encapsulate some complexity and allow to roll them out to larger markets. And I found that in particular fascinating as in the 90s, end of the 90s, all those startups demonstrated quite impressively that with new technologies and new web apps, you can go very far user-wise. And we see that today with Amazon having taken over large parts of the world, and the Facebooks and Googles and so on. And certainly their business has changed as well to mergers and acquisitions and their pathways for modern companies and products to go there. Anyways, long story short, the T I find very fascinating, and that doesn't mean that the L isn't equally important, but I found in our community of technology enhanced learning that the T is relevant at all, and that there is a kind of design-based research approach of building stuff, getting it out, getting it right. I like that, and I found it very fascinating before, like after, and I don't think that has really changed. I think that is the big advantage that we have as a field, and it's also our eternal burden to carry.
If I may add on that, I would say what is interesting in our field, and maybe other fields like robotics are a bit the same, that really the research is evolving with the technology. So the pedagogy has been evolving with the technology, and the way we have been implementing also the technology had an impact on pedagogy, and also the active pedagogy had an impact on, you know, introducing the technology in the classroom and outside. So this was interesting, and maybe I am the older guy in the virtual room, so I can tell you that when I started my research in that field, we were calling it computer-aided learning. No internet yet. So it was about, using the first computer to do something more attractive and, more active in the classroom. And this is the way I started in the domain, by trying to use computer to better teach engineering to engineering students. And then we started to have internet, or even not internet connection, but, phone lines with some data transfer capability. And we started to enable remote laboratory activities. And then we figured out that environment for learning were not good, and we started to build them and then to implement collaboration and so on. So really the evolution was, really synchronized between pedagogy and technology. And the names have been reflecting that. So from computer-aided learning, we moved to e-learning. Then e-learning started to be associated with learning management system, which obviously everybody knows that they suck. So we moved to technology-enhanced learning to emphasize the fact that we were trying to just add technology for learning, but not just technology for themselves. This was pushed by the Commission, and maybe you don't know, but it was really challenging for all of us to use that name in publication, because people outside Europe did not know what we were meaning when we were talking about technology-enhanced learning. And I think now, because of the digitalization of the society, we talk more and more about digital education. So there is also an evolution of the terminology in the field.
But just add on, it's a good word. As a matter of fact, I don't know how to translate it into French to make it sound interesting. And I remember speaking to the people who organized the LAC conference, who said technology enhanced learning is a term that is more durable in time than just sort of pinpointing the technology to one technology like learning analytics.
Any perspective from you, Ralph?
I'm from computer science. We have the tendency to use strange concepts borrowed from other disciplines. So we have something which is called ontologies. So in plural. Thinking of that, I have survived before I entered this technology enhanced learning area, 10 years research center on what we call today digital humanity, which is also strange thing, digital humanity. But things I always thought, this is an underserved community. So and still is. So I have to imagine that we have this millions of teachers and even more pupils and students. So and most of them do not have any problems with technology. They have much more basic problems. I understood that at an EATEL conference in this decade, and somebody was putting the numbers on the table. So how many children do not have any access to primary education, to secondary education? And I thought, we are working really on luxury problems here in technology enhanced learning. So, but still, as a computer scientist, so I think I will do my best to bring the technology to all the pupils I can reach with that. And I'm still, I'm a strong believer, so that in the absence of a school building, in the absence of a teacher, so technology may not be my first choice, but it's still something which you can work in as a pupil. So and I always thought, so we are not living in a perfect world, and technology is not the solution to anything. But maybe in the future, almost no solution to learning problems without technology, and that is still my thinking. That we should be part of the solution with technology and not part of the problem.
Okay, thank you very much for all the panelists so far. Just a reminder for everyone, if you want to ask questions, think about them right now or put them in the chat. In the meantime, my second general question for all the panelists would be if they remember PhD candidates in 2005 and how the doctoral education and PhD students have changed. How did the topics change, and how did overall the approach to doctoral education has evolved?
I think it does not change. The topics change, that for sure. I mean, back in 2005, we have been focusing on things that don't matter that much anymore because they're ticked off as a research goal. For example, around the time the learning repositories, learning object repositories were utterly important, and metadata mining and so on. And that's today a done thing. I don't think that the nature of the education has really changed. Doctoral students, as today as then, are still people that work independently, that have done a master already in which they demonstrated they're able to apply scientific concepts to a subject area they study, maybe even in the master already with achievements that go beyond the state of the art. And many of them teach other courses. So we're talking about a group of people that are highly skilled, highly trained, and that hasn't changed. And sometimes we forget that and don't take it serious enough. And it is very important to create the space, the open space at doctoral training events where people can do what they think they need to do without us old gits telling them what it should be in our view. So that hasn't really changed, I think. Over the years, what I've seen in the summer school, we have changed a little bit. We have tried to incorporate different communities over the years. So for example, communities of practice was something that you, Catherine, and Ralph and Denis staged. Then a little bit later with Stellar, it was Denis and Marie closing up with the kind of early and Eden and learning sciences groups. So that has certainly changed. The community has become more interdisciplinary. And I think also the elements of methodological training have changed, that there is more space for methodology these days in doctoral training programs in our field as well in others. But I think the type of people that are there and the things they benefit from hasn't. And if things haven't been catered on a silver platter, that's not a problem. You're all bright people.
Yeah, so from my perspective, so I think we have some poster girls and poster boys in technology enhanced learning. It did a PhD based on the master in technology enhanced learning, so in the interdisciplinary program, and I think also those people are quite successful in also in their careers, becoming professors. When I'm looking back at the summer school, we had always two kinds of PhD students. So if I do that distinction, that were those who are coming from an EU project, EU-funded project, and those who were coming from a university without access to European funding. And I had also always the impression that those who had access to EU funding were very much privileged. So they had already a network of working project with supervisors. They could contact with labs they could travel to. So and many of those who hadn't access, they were very isolated. So even in their faculty or in their departments, they were isolated. The professor was not from pedagogy, but he was, for example, from physics. So but did some e-learning. So and he wanted to, or she wanted to have an PhD student in e-learning. So and that was not a good idea, I think. Yeah. So I think for that the summer school did a good job in connecting those who were more privileged with those who had this more isolated background. I think that helped. But if you're looking now at the situation, I would also agree with Fridolin. It doesn't change in a way that we can say, yeah, so all Europe now we have an coherent education, PhD education of technology enhanced people. Yeah? So that is returning now also to national projects. Yeah, so it's still very much national thing. It's a very fragmented thing. Yeah? It's very much theory oriented. Yeah, so and there are some countries which are more advanced. Yeah, but I think the bigger countries, yeah, so are still lacking behind what would be possible.
Thank you, Denise. Catherine, do you have something to add?
I think it's a bit in the same direction. So obviously now a lot of universities in Europe have moved towards, doctoral education with doctoral courses and things like that, which was not the case 15 years ago. And it was one of the reasons to have this summer school, to bring some doctoral education to people in TEL. And I would say that even in Switzerland, we are still trying to have a doctoral school in technology enhanced learning. We are working on it currently, but it's not as mainstream as in other, core disciplines. So because of the interdisciplinary nature of it. But I think what is good is that it's more easy for somebody to say, okay, I want to do a PhD in technology enhanced learning, being either from computer science or from education. So before we were a bit like alien in universities when we were saying that we were doing research in that domain. So I think this is not the case anymore. This is a good progress.
In the context of doctoral training, we have had quite some debate recently, Michael, right, about whether you can actually educate people for their PhD. And I still maintain you can't. And I like that about our community here, that in parts, this is only a meeting place for people to exchange with like-minded people. And sure, there are sessions in the program, but in parts there are also something that you prepare and share with the community to work on something together. It's not the knowledge transfer from the more knowledgeable other to the student, and that's good. At the same time, sure, some things can be trained. Methodologies, getting into new areas, not repeating beginners' mistakes when you jump into medias res. But I think it's a bit of a misnomer to call doctoral training doctoral education.
Yeah, I think this movement came with the idea of reducing the duration of PhD thesis. So it's more an accelerator program for researchers, to kick them off quickly at the beginning. But I agree with you. So you have to do things by yourself to really become a real researcher.
I would just add on to all of that I actually have the list of the first summer school class. And what really impresses me is the brilliant careers that so many of those PhD students now have. I always find it interesting. All of a sudden I get an invitation to watch something on YouTube and I see a former PhD student that's giving a presentation at Stanford, and I'm thinking, wow, that's really impressive. So I think beyond the PhD training, something that we created at the summer school was this sense of community, that people want to have international careers, that they build on the relationships that they developed at the summer school. And I think the fact that Michael, who's one of our former PhD students, has actually taken on the organization of the summer school is maybe a tribute to the kind of, I guess you could say, professional relationships that we developed during the summer school. And I just wanted to add, I noticed that Sebastian Fiedler is here in this chat, and He was also on the list as one of our first summer school students in 2005. Now in Champaign-Urbana.
All right, thank you very much, Catherine, and everybody. I think the stage is open for the questions from the audience. If somebody, I didn't see really burning questions so far. There were comments and suggestions in the chat, but feel free now to turn on your camera or microphone and ask the panelists.
Hi, this is Sebastian. I'm actually in Champaign-Urbana too, so best regards from COVID country. I have had a career in technology enhanced learning, and I think my first summer school was 2007 in Fréjus. And so the things that I mostly encountered in my years of being an educational technology cowboy was that I had a lot of somewhat mixed experience with the acceptance of TEL in the higher education sector. So they had a lot of I had a lot of critics, and people would have a lot of backlash on you know, oh, you want to do everything online, that's not the real stuff, you know, we want to be a presence university and so forth. And now we have the virus. So, well, who's laughing now, right? So I was wondering, and for the panelists maybe, is there any kind of big change that you realized during this crisis? And is there any kind of like big upwind that you can feel about technology and learning based on that? Or is it just something that is just simply a continuing growth that you experience?
No summer school this year, yeah.
Right.
No, I think the main point is that we have been always working with the early adopters in that domain. And in one day, we started to work on digital education with everybody. And so this is a busy dimension, and some people discover that it's not so terrible, to use technology to learn. And also, we started to get involved with parents, which was never the case before. In all the projects I have been doing, initially it was just about students. Then we evolve, we care more about teachers, but now we have the parents in the loop. So I think this is an interesting new dimension.
Well, I was recently in contact with one of the colleagues who got me involved in technology enhanced learning back in the 90s. She was a professor in the networks department. She's now retired, and she was, during the COVID, was saying to all of the people that she would meet, I was working on the prototypes for all of that back in the 90s. All of this sort of video conferencing that we're doing now that's very easy. I personally can remember when I had to do a project, and we had a group in Cambridge, a group in Paris, and a group in Spain, and I had to call the national node to find out if the traffic was actually going through so I could do the experiment. So somehow it seems like all of those things that we were investing in, even I would say the pedagogical models that we created back in the 90s are completely valid today. So maybe it's kind of rewarding to see everything that you invested in actually be very useful to the general public.
So I've definitely seen change in the recent weeks, and digital education is everybody's doing that now by force, but that also means repeating mistakes over and over. So I'm not quite sure where this will lead us as a field, whether that's tremendous reputational damage that amateurs are currently causing, or whether there is a heightened sensitivity in the future for professionals doing that sort of stuff. But I have two things that I want to share with you. I'll put them in the chat. These are two interesting blog postings that I ran across. One of them says, and that's the one from, how's the guy called? William Rankin. He says, it's the end of education, COVID-19, because it basically shows a completely hollow education system, a persiflage of what it has been. And that he particularly makes out in the inability of several countries to hold exams. So if you basically undermine your education system, hollow it out, and then show with a pandemic that actually assessments aren't even necessary or doable, that is devaluing education as such. And I think he's got a point there, that basically by, in the UK, for example, some of the exams not taking place, creating a gap year for students, that is an issue. The other one that I am sharing as a link is also worth a read, and that's the prediction by Scott Galloway saying the only areas in which the big 8, the Silicon Valley companies, can still make the revenue and growth they promise to their shareholders is health and education. And that's why they're pushing into both fields. And with the pandemic now, it may well end up in a situation that they team up with the elite universities and box out basically all others. So that MIT increases their intake in student population tenfold by offering an off-campus experience teamed up with Google, or they make some other predictions in there, which campus would best partner with which company. And again, I think that has started already, this kind of push towards commercializing even further university education as we know it. And it's a possible future that we might be looking at. The pandemic certainly has demonstrated that the value of brick and mortar is maybe a bit overestimated, and there are other possible futures that we could look at.
Okay, from my personal practices as a computer scientist and a computer science teacher, there was not so much change. Yeah, so we are used to work online and distributed ways, and also in teaching. So I think amazingly, so even the labs worked quite well. If you have really motivated and engaged students, and things are not working well, if you have boring content and boring teacher like me, so that was not so much change. And in Germany there were also big discussion about the gap year and so on, so, and they were discussing the exams of the high school pupil, so, and now it turned out that the grades have been even better than in the last years, so what that is telling us, I have no idea. So COVID, I think it's really rattling at all these systems, and systems with problems, they show these problems more obviously than without having a crisis. So, and the school system, the university system is under pressure. So, but on the other side, so what are the alternatives? So homeschooling is not an alternative, obviously. Not in Germany. So most parents went crazy over homeschooling. And need perhaps to establish that also as a second practice. And universities, so our rector today said, so we will definitely return to brick and mortar university. He said physical exchange of people and having debates face to face, it's much more important than all this digital stuff. So, and he said we won't become an open university. So.
Yeah, but bricks and mortar is only for the rich kids.
Yeah.
No, I'm being sarcastic.
In Germany, everybody is rich, except the poor.
Quite right. And yeah, when the world ends, I want to be in Germany, right? Because it will take a few years longer.
This could be a good research topic. How has COVID affected research in technology enhanced learning? Is someone working on that?
Fridolin, as always.
No, no, in that case, no. But I'm on fire. I have published last week 5 papers, but it was one of those weeks where everything comes together. But not that one. More and more kind of looking into how it affects education. Yes.
This miraculous week, yeah, like Einstein had this miraculous year in 1905. Yeah, 5 papers. Every paper is winning a Nobel Prize.
There's a bit of there's room for improvement on that. My papers, but yeah.
Okay, do we have more questions?
I can just say I can agree with some of the comments I'm seeing in the chat. It is true, you need to invest in the people as well as the tools, and maybe this is something I'm seeing at my own university. I'm seeing many of the professors struggling with technology that I think if you're in the TEL community is pretty simple, but clearly they need someone to help them use it and understand how it can even improve the learning experience for their students. So. And we also did best practice studies and training teachers, and also giving support to students is very, very important. And perhaps it's something that people were not able to do during the COVID because no one was planning for it to happen, and no one was prepared to deploy all the technology that had to be deployed in such a short time.
And there are new opportunities at hand as well. Wearable enhanced learning, for example, where Ralph, Ilona Buchem, and I published a new book that you might want to look into, or all that hype around augmented reality-based learning, or performance augmentation, as I would call it. There are definitely exciting things happening right now that need our attention.
All right, waiting for questions from the audience. Do not hesitate to ask anything you want to know about the summer school, the topic of technology-enhanced learning. And while you might still think about a good question, I would like to ask one more question. What kind of advice would you give for a fresh PhD student today, given your experience in the field, which is, I understand, at least 15 years? What would you recommend to do, to not do, career-wise?
So I can only give examples. Yeah? So some of the of the PhD researchers are also here. Go to the summer school. Yeah. So meet people, and then try to find common ground and do some joint research. Yeah. So I'm always be amazed by the numbers of publications coming out of the collaboration of summer school students. Yeah, so in the past years, and how many things have been started in technology enhanced learning out of such a short period in the year, where a few people are meeting somewhere remotely, yeah, so in a place, yeah, so we wouldn't find on a map, yeah, without spotting it, yeah. So it's really amazing, yeah. So what power of connecting to other people, power of communities is, and so my best advice I can give is go to summer schools, yeah, regardless what you are doing, yeah. So connect to people.
Yeah, and I would add on to that, because this is a question that's often asked at the doctoral consortium. And many of the professors often answer when they're considering hiring a fresh PhD student, what are they looking at? Of course, there's the research, but students who demonstrated their ability to take on the organization of workshops, conferences, summer schools have a plus as compared to the other candidates. So that's another thing that we tried to develop in the summer school, was giving responsibilities to the PhD students to take on the responsibility for a workshop. And they often said it was very useful because they were able to organize something in a situation that's not as intimidating as if they were at a conference. So yeah, I would say take advantage of the summer school, build your network, but also take advantage of any kind of leadership training that you can get in the summer school.
Yeah, collaboration is the key. It's the key also to get funding for research, but it's also important, for example, for joint publication. And we have seen that joint publications also have more impact than, you know, individual publications. So you should never be afraid to collaborate with somebody, even working on something close, because typically you just do better. You don't compete really. So yeah. And also the collaboration, as mentioned before. So when you get new position, the publications are just really important, but also recommendation letters are key. So all the networking you have been doing, all the people you met, and you know you. And I can tell you that most of the postdoc I have been hiring, I knew them before from the summer school, for example. So you know, you need to build trust, and this is really helping you along your career.
My advice is short. I'm stealing that from the Sunday Assembly movement. Live better, help often, wonder more. We are a community, and some things you cannot achieve on your own. Those times have passed. I don't think there will be the real Einsteins like Einstein was today anymore. And even if you look at Nobel Prize winners, they have been at the forefront of the frontier, basing their work on shoulders of giants. So invest into that community, help each other, and never stop being curious, and be ethical.
All right, we have a couple more questions developing, and we have still 3 minutes left in the program for the panel. So one of the questions I would like to raise is the face-to-face format of the summer school versus a possible online format in case the crisis we're currently in would continue on until next summer. What do you think are the real possibilities for an online, or can we even do it?
I'm not sure about having an online summer school, but what EATEL can do definitely is to offer more webinar style events. Yeah, so like they have started recently. Yeah, so to really sustain the community, yeah, so and also between the times of the summer school and the EATEL conference to keep people yeah, together and give them opportunities to meet. Yeah, also informal events like this one, yeah, are very important to sustain the community. I would rather strengthen smaller events, shorter events to fill the gap in the moment.
Well, I'm just thinking about how, you know, we often talk about the failure of distance education, and there's a huge dropout rate. Research shows that hybrid education is much better than, you know, solely distance education. However, that's in a world where face-to-face training is an option. So, you know, we're now living in a world where for the past 3 months, we've all had to communicate with each other, even with people we've never met before, through video conferencing. So I don't know, I would test it, you know, does it work? I agree, it's much better. Face-to-face is definitely much better. There's so much informal trust building that goes on when you're in a room or at a party with other people. We used to talk about beer-to-beer communication at the summer school. So, but on the other hand, we're living in a different world. So I would say, I would try it and see if it works.
Yeah, obviously we should not do it for a week, because as we said before, it's about building the community more than about the training itself. So yeah, I'd rather go in the direction proposed by Ralph to have a few webinars. And what is also working well is to, and we are trying to do it in another open project because of the COVID, is to have some face-to-face meetings between local communities, and they join together virtually. So somehow you combine the two the two dimension of virtual and real. So you don't miss completely the beer-to-beer dimension, Catherine.
And there is one more question that has been developing in the chat. That is about the artificial intelligence in education, and the question from Daniela, if TEL is moving towards AI in education.
We had AI for a long time in the programs. I mean, the AI at society is how old now? 30 years or something like that. It's been a topic for many years, and it will continue to be a topic, I think, and it's an important and big topic, but it's not the only topic. There are in both these arms where people use AI in the sense of machine learning, or sometimes you wonder whether they actually meant algorithm. There is a lot to be gained, especially with new machine learning approaches and crunching power at hand that we have on the cloud or on the edge. But also in the other direction, one of my favorite topics is holographic AIs, having a conversation with a hologram about what you want to know, what you want to learn. There is a lot of potential in these ideas, and I'm sure it will be a more important topic than it maybe has been 10 years ago, maybe even 15. Progress made in the field of AI has made progress in TEL with AI possible. But it's not, I don't think it will subsume the topic. I think with many of these, the public perception and the funders' perception come in waves of fashion. And in particular with AI, we have seen the whole research market crash in the 80s, where funding was frozen from a very high amount, over promising the general problem solver and things like that, and overhyping, overselling, to zero. Essentially, a whole generation of researchers becoming unemployed at the same time. That has happened before. I think people are more cautious these days. Still, there is a bit of overhyping happening at the moment that we have to look at carefully, as there are so many people selling old wine in new skins, or not even that, maybe just selling water in new skins.
Any other?
Selling water for wine.
Without the conversion process here. I haven't found a magic formula, can only do it the other way.
As a non-technologist person, I would just say it seems to me that in the field of technology enhanced learning, if you're looking for the next hot topic, look at what's being developed, especially for commercial purposes, and see how you can tie it in with learning. And yes, I agree with Friedland. I've been hearing about artificial intelligence as long as I've been working in this field, and so maybe the time is ripe. It seems like so many of the other disciplines are using artificial intelligence, so maybe the time is ripe to develop tools and more tools and technology. But I think it will be this will be.
That reminds me of a thing, Catherine. I mean to observe in countries in which austerity and underfunding of the education system is programmed. When you're facing the decision whether you want to be taught by someone who is not really a teacher, or by an AI built by an expert, amongst the two options, not sure. Maybe a bit of program in that too.
Yeah, if you are rich, you get a real teacher. If you are poor, you get a robot teacher. Yeah, so that is the choice you have on this planet.
All right, I think we have to go to the next part in the event. Thank you very much to our panelists and for all the questions. There are a couple more ideas about the beginning of the summer school.
I added that because we wanted to complement the story started in ProLearn, but very quickly. So
Yes.
just to say that initially we started with a group of people from technology, and then we merged two two existing networks of excellence. It was Poland, and there was Kaleidoscope more on the education domain to bring really people together. And this was part of the philosophy behind the joint technology enhanced learning summer school. So it was joint because we brought together people from education and technology. We also brought previous instruments, summer school, winter school together to have more people. So this is the main idea here. And in terms of main topics, so Stella was organized around the grand challenges, especially to try to see the trend in research in technology and learning, with the part related to environment and resources, then focus on learner and on teachers. And we have been very good at, defining the field of technology and learning, but we completely miss the arrival of MOOCs, for example. But at least in the period of Stella, for example, the baby domain of learning analytics strongly developed, not only thanks to us, but people involved in the network were integrated to that. And I think in the next slide, summarizing a bit this objective, we had really to work together and really to bring together early stage PhD students with young researchers and experts in the field, with the spirit of building this community, as we mentioned before. So we don't need to go further than that, but I think it was interesting to see the evolution of the vision of the Commission, and this has translated in the vision we had also for the summer school, and the way the field has shaped during that period.
Thank you, Denise. I think now is the time when we will go through the years. And for each year, what we will do is someone who was in the organization of the summer school would share some of the organizational objectives, issues, innovations, major results, major features of each event, maybe in the program, in the location, or in anything else. And then anyone from the audience, if you would like to add something, if you have your most memorable event happening at a specific summer school in the past, you're also free to turn on your microphone and tell us about that memory. But we have to be quick, so we're going through the summer schools year by year.
Yeah, I thought actually that we could make it a bit more personal, so to say, and add little stories here and there. So for me, obviously, the Poland Summer School 2005 was my first event. The most exciting memory I remember is Margit Hofer, one of the co-organizers, lost her suitcase, never reappeared, and was wearing the summer school t-shirt for a couple of days until finally she managed to get hold of a second t-shirt. And similarly, all the mugs got lost, and only I think 2 or 3 years later, as I had a project with Sheila, with Ishik University, I got hold of one of those mugs and had them for several years in my kitchen as one of the few who ever got hold of any of those mugs. That's a personal memory for me, including also finding out that Amir Neve plays fantastic piano and great sessions at the beach. And I think we students at that time managed to buy up all the beer from a filling station on one of the days. So I think by day 3 of the summer school, the supply where we would stock up on alcohol would have been completely bought out. Don't know, maybe someone can say something about the next one.
Well, I just wanted to add about the first one. We were, as I said before, it was the most rigid summer school. We were very nervous because our evaluators from the commission were there, and we wanted to make them understand that we were using the commission's money well. But something that's also interesting, it was in Turkey. So I would say another recurring value of the summer school is to try to spread out and be inclusive. And so Turkey was a way, you know, for us to bring the summer school a little bit outside Europe. I think it was the year that Turkey was trying to become a member of the.
That's right, Fridolin. We are sharing memories, stories. I sort of thought we first say something formal and then all the memories, okay?
Okay, let's for a little bit of fact checking. Yeah, so it is named here Istanbul, but in fact it was in Chile. Yeah, so 60 kilometers away from Istanbul, and it always took us 2 hours to get to this place. Yeah, when we were visiting it, I think Catherine and me
I spent
3 or 4 times. Yeah,
I spent 6 hours waiting for the shuttle because there had been a bombing on that day.
Yeah,
and so they couldn't drive the route they usually would have driven.
That was one of the strategies of the summer school, was to do it in really remote places. Yeah, so the people cannot escape.
Next slide.
So it seems in the beginning people wanted to escape. Later it changed.
Yeah, that's always been program. Yeah, the ice water bathing experience. Tomasz, you are here. You staged that. Maybe you want to say something about Bled.
Yeah, so this was my first summer school. We were hosts of this summer school. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I remember that on Friday, the World Cup in football started in Germany. So the Friday afternoon session after the end of the summer school was dedicated to watching football from the World Cup. We had some nice social activities before and after the summer school. So I think it was a nice summer school, both from the topics that were covered by the professors and also from this more socializing part of the students and of the professors.
That when the idea was born that we would have a TEL football tournament at the summer schools and at EATEL?
No. That is not at the summer school. That was from a project meeting in the what was the Learning Layers project. So it was one of these boring meetings where you always try to escape by snoozing away. And then somebody said, yeah, we will call our prototype turbine. And I said to Tobias Lai, I have a vision. We need to make a football tournament at the EATEL conference. And from that point, we started that. Yeah? So it was not at the summer school, but to mention that the summer school was always a very sportive event. Yeah? So we had a lot of sports activities at many of the places, also in Bled. Yeah? So I can remember that was walking around the lake. That was not easy. Yeah. So, but you could also use a boat, and you could hike in the mountains and so on. It was really great.
Yeah, in Bled we had rafting one afternoon, and after the rafting we had a football game.
Yeah, I would say actually Bled was kind of like the model for the summer school, because we had before summer school events, after summer school events, the dinner in the middle, the sports trip. It was close enough to the town so people could actually leave the hotel and go have a drink outside the hotel, which they really appreciated. It was a good price. And also, just once again, looking back at some of our deliverables, it was when some of the students started doing social network analysis and actually trying to, we noticed from the evaluations that one of the things the students appreciated the most was networking. And at first I thought they should be appreciating the great professors, but no, they really appreciated the networking. And then I realized actually that was probably the greatest asset of the summer school. And it's when we started tracking things like how many joint publications came out of the summer school.
Thank you for the summary, Catherine. Next.
Yeah, that was the one that has the T-shirt, the Pac-Man who wants to eat the world. I designed that. I'm really proud of it. But I think content-wise, what I saw now, looking through the photos, that the few ones that I have on my computer here, I've seen several photos of Eric, and then the audience being in love with Eric, sitting there. And I have some photos with participants' looks captured that look at him dreaming away. Eric was fantastic, a fantastic speaker. And I think he has given much to the community. And in particular, this year, I remember that vividly. I also tried to put a small video I found somewhere with Ambjörn explaining probably some modeling. Sebastian, you're on that picture. You might even remember what that conversation was about. And I think the other guy is Martins Pipan from Tomasz Klobuchar's JSI.
I actually found a video. I'll share it with all of you. I think it must have been the official video that was created, as we always do at the end of the summer school. And in the pictures, you will see what I remember to be the first football game organized at JTELSS.
Yeah, so I remember that it was a lot of wine at lunchtime. Yeah, so that was not good for the afternoons. But I also remember the soccer game, and there was a little hut close to the soccer field, and then Ambjörn had this night owl sessions. Yeah, so. And that year, I think Fridolin, you said that with the T-shirt, yeah. So the lightning, yeah. So it was great. Yeah, free juice was great. So it was I think the training ground was provided by French Telecom. Yeah. So and the level of service was really great, but it was also very remote, several kilometers away from the next village.
Yeah, but close to camp, where the films take place. I see from our analysis that the program in that year had a massive jump for personalized, contextualized, adaptive learning. So that was a big focus point of that summer school. While at the same time, the kind of interest in learning environments, virtual learning environments and so on, was continued to be big.
Anyway,
it was second lifetime, yeah. So I remember.
We now go to 2008.
Well, I believe, oh yeah, this is one of the things you can see here is how we're branching out to other projects. So we had funding from ProLearn, we had funding from Palette, EATEL had been created, and I would say this is the beginning of the way the summer school started maybe spreading its popularity by getting, apparently the kind of activities that we were organizing were interesting enough for other projects to want to invest in bringing in their researchers and their PhD students to our event.
Yeah, so that's why Graham is depicted there, became a big topic around that time. Hence also the link to Palette. I think Denis, you were involved in Palette as well. That's where the roots of craft, that research strand are found, right?
Palette was about communities of practice.
That's right.
And we use it as a link between ProLearn and I think Stella. It was just a transition year where we were requiring monies from other also a project to continue to have scholarship. So, but yeah, so the joint adjective is also coming from the fact that we had project joining to support the summer school, as you mentioned, Catherine. And we have a picture of EATEL. It was also at the time where we started to talk a lot about personal learning environment.
And we also got some additional funds for the students from the Southeastern European countries.
Absolutely, the Cyranet, we made a proposal, yes. We were successful.
Yes, and that was also, we had a lot of students from states from Balkan, yeah. So, and one of the EU peoples told us afterwards he was really amazed, yeah. So to see so many former enemies joining in a summer school, yeah. So, and he said we were like a peacekeeping school, yeah. So, and I remember that, yeah. So it was terrible times in the 90s, yeah, and early 2000, but at that time they were all sitting together, drinking beer, watching life going on the lake. That was really something I remember well.
Time to go to 2009.
That's the stellar years already, and again a T-shirt that I made like the ones before. The first few years I made all the T-shirts and put really a lot of effort into that, and then later we had always a link with the local design communities, typically arts faculties and the like, and always some organizer running some sort of competition with students and some voting process on which design should make it. I took something from one of your slides, Denis, that you presented at the Stellar review about Work Package 4, showing excellent topics and also clearly saying that those are not the only ones. Don't know if you can read them, but PLEs continued to be a topic, recommender systems. I think Nikos also chaired writing a book around that time. Then you can see how the kind of community building with the more learning sciences oriented community is taking place. Ross, who recently died, I think it was last year, sadly, Ross Sutherland was giving a keynote there. And did I see Milos somewhere in the participant list? Maybe.
Yeah, this was actually, from my memory, the largest summer school we ever ran, 120 participants. We took a chance. It was in the mountains rather than being at the sea. And the downside was we had some network difficulties. And so we realized that, network was always going to be a very, very important feature of the summer school. So we always had to make sure it was very reliable. I was trying to find the information, but I think we had at least 6 different EU-funded projects that were representing the research at the summer school. But this, for me, was the real turning point when we decided that we really had to bring in PhD students on the organization committee and make sure that we were taking into consideration the kind of workshops that they were expecting at the event.
There was a little revolution in the student community. Yeah, bad weather, bad network. Yeah,
it was raining all the time. I remember that. I remember that Catherine came to me and said, "Oh God, we have to do something. They all have cabin fever."
Well, but the ironic thing is, there was a PhD student from Saudi Arabia who told me that it was the most important event that he went to in all of his PhD training in Europe, and he loved watching the mountains in the morning at breakfast. I mean, if you're from Saudi Arabia, it's exotic.
I can say also a few words. That was my first summer school, and I think it was also the best summer school because the weather was so bad and everybody had to stay indoors and together with each other. So we spent so much time together. So there was nowhere to go. There was nothing around, only mountains with a lot of rain. There was literally nothing. So everybody stayed inside and with each other. So there was a explosion in the community and joint research and friendship. And on the photograph here, you can also notice that we are all in winter clothes, and this is on the top of the mountain. You can also notice me in the middle. I'm wearing shorts, and I wear a t-shirt without even sleeves because I really like following instructions, and the organizers told us bring hiking shoes and hiking clothes. So I brought my hiking clothes for summer, and suddenly on the top of that mountain, we went for a trip. It was 0 degrees and snowing. So I had to run all the time there, and everybody thought I was crazy.
Yeah, but that's when you're used to that in Norway, right?
That's the reason why I'm not on the picture, yeah. So of course you need to climb up the mountain, yeah.
Interesting one. Was that the one where I remember vividly how we were standing at the bar talking about your PhD? And I walked away with the impression that I've been incredibly rude, telling you how crazy that is and what you need to do. I really felt bad about it, but you told me years later that that was exactly the thing you needed to hear. And
that was 2010. Anyways, we go to 2010 now.
Fine. Yeah, I found a social network chart in your slide text in the that compared connections before summer school and after. I remember that being one of the few where we actually did hand out a questionnaire with people to tick off. And you can see what difference it makes. Of course, if you put people in a remote place for a week, everybody has talked to everybody. Some people are married these days.
Yeah, and have children, yeah.
And have children, exactly. Yeah, and I was wondering when looking at the photo, the guy in the blue t-shirt at the back, is that Carl?
It looks like it.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah.
He has a new girlfriend there, at least.
Anyone wants to share memories from 2010? Because I also have one.
2010.
Ovid.
So that was North Macedonia, and I was sadly stopped at the border control because my invitation for was printed from a PDF and not an original one. So I had to spend 8 hours at the border control in a cell with the threat to be sent back in the morning at 5 o'clock. But some good people from the organization rescued me and sent the same invitation by fax, which was okay for the border control. So they released me.
Okay, I can report that this summer school attracted 10 EU-funded projects. So probably the greatest number of EU-funded projects that ever participated in a meeting. And it's the first time we have, as I said before, the junior organizers on the organization team.
And I think some of them are here, or most of them, I would say.
Absolutely. Marin, for example.
Maria
Perifanu.
Anna, myself.
Well, at this summer school, sorry, yeah, Anna came later, but at this summer school, well, there was Sandy, Ralph's PhD student, Zina, Sandy was Vinny's PhD student, Zina was Ralph's PhD student, and well, Susanna Bizanova was a PhD student at my university.
Okay, 2011.
Yeah, I was looking for a group photo. Oh, there it is. Okay. That was the first year where we tried with the new journal that we had founded with Ambjörn being editor-in-chief and me the managing editor, to kind of branch out and integrate doctoral candidates in organizing special issues. So we ran a series of them. And the first one must have been incepted at this summer school. And I think the next one, I looked through the photos, and the only photo I could find where Natasha and Sebastian are on is this one. So I think it was conceived here as well, the special issue on creativity, but only came out in 2014. I think it took quite a long time to edit everything and much longer than planned, but it was great. So that was the first time we did that, kind of funnily driven from feedback we had received at earlier summer schools that it's incredibly difficult to publish the lit review. And that still is incredibly difficult. There are not many journals that accept the type of review contribution, and quite often they would set the bar very high. It's tricky for someone getting into a field to publish such a review. That's for the people with decades of experience to write. So we thought, okay, that's something we can fix, and we did it. That has faded then in later years, unfortunately, again, but it was fun while it lasted. It was a good idea to encourage people to run special issues on their own.
Well, I have a few remarks that were made from the summer school. According to some of the students, I have attended 3 JTELSS summer schools now, 2009, 2010, 2011, and 2011 was the best by far. Well organized, nearly perfect, great location.
Yes, Nikos did that, yeah, so I remember. He had this 5-liter can of self-distilled raki, yeah, so all problems vanish if you drink self-distilled raki.
That puts things in perspective, because I found a picture of Hannes Ebner, who was doing his PhD with Ambjörn in Stockholm at KTH. wearing a, you know, these balloons that he can put into form. He was wearing a hat that looked like he's wearing one of those balloon doggies, and the file name was called Hannes wearing the Yahoo Pipes hat.
Oh yeah.
Thing at that point in time, mashups and creating things, and the Raki puts it now very much into perspective. Also, it was a morning photo, and he looked very sober.
People who are texting in the chat that this was the best, you're free to say what is your most memorable moment.
Maybe not for public sharing, who knows?
Maybe.
Not public. Hi everyone. Well, I am very, how can I say, emotional after all these things that I have heard from you, and I see you all together after so many years. So I'm really happy to be with you today. I missed you all, yes, really. Well, I liked a lot, all of them. I cannot tell, but I remember that in this one in Hanya, I was in the organizing team with Nikos, and we have tried a lot to make the best of, let's say, of sharing the best information about Greece and the area. But I remember that we had a tour, a very nice tour, and I was the tour operator, and I had no idea about this excursion that we organized. But the driver, I remember he was telling me things and I was translating everything. And at some point, I remember that there were some students from Nepal, India, and from Asia. And it was so European, but there were many people from all over the world. And they were asking me, oh, what are all these small houses that you have? Small houses, white small houses. So I couldn't understand what small houses. We have many houses, there are many villages. So they were asking me again and again. And then I realized, because they saw me, that they were asking me about the small churches that we have, very small churches that you can find across the, let's say in some points very close to the street. When an accident happens, they put this kind of a small chapel, let's say. So they were telling me, oh, this is the first time that we see something like that. But generally, I would say that it was, I really loved this summer school because we had the possibility to be in a place that it was wonderful with a really amazing food, and we didn't have any complaints. So having in mind all the other summer schools, I remember that we had some complaints, you know, about rooms, about things that can happen, okay. But in this one, I remember that everything really flowed very, very well. And we had wonderful work as well, and wonderful new friendships.
Thank you. We have to go further. 2012.
Portugal. Yeah, there are some really nice pictures in my private album from the guided tours, which I haven't included here. But I have fond memories of that. Also, the food was quite amazing. I remember near that, was it Columbus? No, not Columbus. The other one, Amerigo Vespucci? No, one of them. That's where we had our gala dinner, eating fresh seafood. It was quite fantastic.
Well, one other thing we should probably mention is that we started this a few years back, but we were also always trying to connect our summer schools with the Doctoral Consortium, reminding students that they had an opportunity to meet up with each other at the EATEL conference and present their work at the Doctoral Consortium. And this is a summer school that I think was really single-handedly organized by a PhD student. That was Anna. So I don't know, maybe Anna Torres, because I see she's in the chat. She can say something about it. It was a fantastic organization, and I think she had the least help from the seniors. So I don't know, Anna, what's your memory?
Hello. Well, can you see me? I cannot see myself. So, hello everyone. So nice to hear all these memories and to hear from you. Yes, this was well my second summer school, and I tried to organize the best and yes, to offer, as Fridolin was saying, the food and all the views, maybe better than everything else. Yeah, and that was it. A nice story about it. I don't know. I think that everything was for me. It was memorable for sure. So I don't know what to say.
I can say something. I remember, Anna, that what made me a really big impression in the hotel was that the people were very, very, very gentle. And every time we had a lunch or a dinner, they came and asked us if we liked the food. So I don't know, I think that Portuguese people are really, really polite. And I haven't seen this, I haven't experienced this before in another place that we went. Very, very good people.
I'm also thinking it was about the time of the Hanya Summer School and the EATEL Summer School that we started introducing the Pecha Kucha. I'm thinking of this because in all the Pecha Kucha presentations, it seems like everyone has a slide about food. So anyway, I wanted maybe to ask Maren about the Pecha Kucha because I remember she was really the one who was always organizing that.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, the Pecha Kucha was fun. I don't remember which year we started. We for sure had it in Chania.
Yes,
maybe even before that. I don't remember. But it's for those of you who don't know, you get a certain amount of time, usually like 1 minute or 2 minutes, and a certain number of slides that you're allowed to prepare. And then it's just a rapid everyone after each other. And I think we started off with doing it just with the PhD candidates, but then in the years after, we always included everyone else as well. So that meant all the seniors, all the organizers, everyone. And I think it's a nice way to get started. We always did it on the Monday, so the first day of the actual summer school, mostly in the morning, because it's a nice way to give people the opportunity to introduce themselves. And then at the beginning of the week, at least you have heard the name of everyone already at least once. Whether you remember or not is a different question. But it's just a really nice way to get the week started. And I think, as far as I know, it's still being done. I think by now, sometimes also depending on the number of people, we're down to like 1 slide, 1 minute or something like that. But I think it's still a really nice way to start the summer school.
Definitely.
Okay, we have to speed up a little bit. So we're now going to Cyprus.
For me, one of the ones I really enjoyed. That was the first time that I also took a bit time out and wasn't rushing from session to session, patching things, having meeting with hotel managers as I always picked up the tab for everyone as the treasurer of EATEL. So that was the first one where one of my colleagues at the time I was at the Open University, Alan, came with, and we rented a car and drove across the island. And we bathed in the bath of Adonis. That has a sustaining effect, as you clearly can see. And that was the first one, I think, in those many years where I really had a chance to relax and enjoy a lot of the program as well. So for me, that was a very special one. And thanks, Antigone, for making the organization so smooth and flawless. That was really special because I did not have much to do. I think you're still here, right?
Antigone?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Fridolin. Hi, everyone. It was a really nice experience despite being tired at the end of the week. I think I was so filled with new friends, new relationships, new experiences, knowledge from everyone being there. So I remember at the end, after the week of the summer school, I took a week off to bring myself together, and returning back to the PhD office, my supervisor asked if I would do it again, and the answer was definitely. It was maybe the best experience I had during my PhD years. I have to admit that I really, really, really enjoyed organizing and being a member of the community.
And you did that, of course, you answered that question in the Greek way. Would you do it again?
I would definitely do it again, Fridolin.
Excellent.
Yeah, and Antigone, you were another one, PhD student, and pretty much single-handedly organizing, taking on the local organization for the summer school. It was amazing.
It was also special for me because we had the idea to do Wicked at that summer school, right, Mikhail? We ran that workshop on AR and had a prototype from a project, I think it was Tell Me at the point in time. Yes. And had a crazy group of really good students, and Alan was doing some business thinking workshops the whole week. And that somehow kind of created that crazy lateral thinking that made us dream up the idea for wearable experience in knowledge intensive training, a project that I coordinated and as the scientific lead, and where we've done great things like training astronauts on Mars.
Yeah, and that all started in a workshop where there was a competition where nobody wanted to join my group, and I got last place, and that ended up being a 3 million EU project training astronauts. So that's a good memory.
Maybe worth sharing here, because it's a really good story. At that point in time, you had some coaching to submit it to FET Open, I believe, or FET Young Explorers or something. And we were working towards that, and then decided that we're not going for it. Although you had received significant input to the proposal, and we submitted it somewhere else later. Because it wasn't the right point in time. We weren't ready. The proposal wasn't ready. It wasn't the right call. Mm-hmm. And that then worked. We were ranked #1 out of all proposals.
Yeah, that's mostly because out of 13 partners, 9 were from summer schools. So you EU projects. You have to do EU projects if you want to be successful. That's one of the ways, at least. All right.
It's a real summer school success story.
Of course it is.
It is.
And yeah, well, half of the consortium is actually in this call. Anyways, 2014, and that's summer school in Malta. Memories?
Yeah, so fantastic island, fantastic cultural heritage sites that we've seen. We were lucky to see one of them that is no longer. It has been washed away, I believe, or destroyed by some minor earthquake just recently, and that would have been this oldest house thing, I think. I don't know, Vanessa is probably not on the call.
Vanessa is not on the call, but that's another example of a PhD student organizing a summer school.
Absolutely, and an amazing job.
Yes, it was the best hotel, I think, that we had in this summer school. I don't know if you remember, Anna and the others. Do you remember we had 10 different restaurants? Yes, and we could have late lunch, early lunch. You remember early breakfast, late breakfast, all that? And 24.
Remember that alcoholic drinks were included in the...
Yeah, all inclusive, yeah.
Yes, and 24 hours, yes, we could have drinks and whatever. Okay, not all of it, but we could find something to drink or eat. So, and I don't know if you remember, the pool was really wonderful, and it was a different one. Do you remember the scenery? It looked like a natural. I don't know.
Vanessa is actually here on the photo. If you see the third person on the top row here, she's the champion of the event.
And the hotel was really close to the Popeye village. Do you remember we had discovered it? once we were out to go for jogging, and we found it. It was wonderful.
The time before you could see an attraction on the Google Maps.
Maybe I could add one more thing about Vanessa. I believe it was after she organized the summer school that she was also on the organization committee for the doctoral consortium that took place that year. She was finishing her PhD. She had finished her PhD or finishing it.
Yes.
One thing you can also notice that the photos, the group photos, are becoming better and better. So that's
I know. You really must see the film from 2007. You'll see that, you know, digital camera technologies have greatly improved.
Yeah, and Michael, he did a really great job on that. We had only to do it for 3 or 4 hours for one photo. Yeah.
Don't complain, please. Let's look at the summer school in 2015. Who wants to share memories?
Okay, this was with another project on MOOCs.
EMA project.
The EMA project, right.
Mm-hmm.
I think
A wonderful place.
The things which was very interesting that in the monastery in the back, they had a room where they were putting nuns with dead bodies.
Yeah.
Feel the meaning of life. So I remember that.
But
Me
you
too,
there was a wonderful gelateria on the top. I remember that we had ice creams there when we were up there. And we went to a very wonderful place. I don't know if you remember, with the boats for the social event. And there was a problem with the boats. Some people were afraid of the boats. Do you remember?
Well,
but the place was really nice.
What I remember also is that was the only summer school in my memory that was organized in July. And
I guess.
really, I think everybody agreed that we'd never again do it in July because it was plus 38 all week. And it was absolutely impossible to be outside from 8 in the morning until 8 in the evening.
Yeah, it was the hottest week I've seen here because I live close by. It's Maca, sorry. And it was the hottest 1 week we have ever experienced, I think. So it was really tough. It's not that hot usually here.
It was also the year in which we closed up ranks with online Educa. That is in particular noteworthy here. And not only Emma with the European MOOCs, but yeah, MOOCs were a big topic here.
Mm-hmm. And Maca, I remember swimming with you at the foot of that castle with Ilaria before the summer school.
Yeah, that was so nice. Yes. And the hotel was a spa hotel also. But I was working at the same time, so I didn't feel much, but it was a nice place.
Okay, we're moving towards 2016.
Daniela, you're here on the picture. Maybe you have something to share.
Hello. Yes, that was my first summer school indeed. And I was not yet a PhD student back then, but a master student. I remember I was writing my master thesis while I was at the summer school. So not the optimal thing, but it was a very nice atmosphere in Estonia in this camping close to the beach. I love the fact that we could go to the beach as well. And also a very nice group of people. And I really enjoyed, I felt home. It was the first time for me. So I fell in love with the summer school back then.
I remember now we had a discussion about whether we will allow a master student in there, and I advocated very much that this needs to be the case, and we should leave it to the kind of local research teams to if there is a young hotshot like you, then they should be let in.
Indeed, I had to pay myself for attending the summer school, but it was worth it.
This was also an experiment to organize a summer school in Northern Europe, and up to date, it's still the most northern summer school. It was in a remote place in Estonia, Still, we had 68 participants, and that felt like a lot of people, and it was a successful event, by all means. It was warm, not as warm as in Italy, but warm enough to swim for some of the courageous people. Okay.
It was very nice, actually, because it was a little secluded, and I also felt the same feeling, like a community very close, and it was for me very memorable.
And we had the bonfire and to jump because it was the biggest day, right?
Yeah, 25. Yes, it was very nice. That is very memorable for me. That was very nice.
All right.
We had the memorial for Martin and Eric, and I remember it was really emotional. So I think it's also a good time to think about that.
Remember Alejandro playing the piano here at the gala dinner? That was emotional.
Yeah, and also have a personal memory. I had my birthday, and when it became like exactly the midnight when my birthday began, the boys started singing and having a like guitar, so it was really nice personally for me too. But that was a sad moment also, the referendum on the Brexit. So we had that bad news that when I came out, everybody was so sad. It was really also a little bit sad.
The context. All right, time to move to 2017. And as you can see, things are on the slides are starting to be a bit more standardized, as this year marks the beginning of the transition of the organizational team in the summer school. And this is also the only summer school that was done organized in October, because actually we were a bit late and we couldn't do it in spring or May, and we had to postpone until October.
Actually, Mikhail, the first one was in September 2005, but you're right.
Okay, not as late as mid of October.
This is where, yes, I can say that I was so thrilled to see how Mikhail stepped up and saved the summer school. All of those of you who are putting in the chat how important the summer school is for you, thanks to Mikhail, he really saved it. We almost lost a year.
There was a year where we were all just making career steps, too busy, distracted, and that I personally was a bit burned out doing that as well.
Well, yes, I do remember that the message from the senior people was to skip a year or to not organize the summer school. So the only thing I did was to ask the junior organization team to, is anybody interested into organizing the summer school without the senior people? And almost everybody said yes, and even people who I didn't expect to commit. So it was a large team organizing that. That was unexpectedly a very successful event, and we were also very happy with the local host in Portugal, who took a lot of the local organization in their hands, and we also got quite some senior people actually giving talks and attending, and Catherine was also with us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to say that it was a really nice, let's say, experience, this one. But I need to say a big thank to the team of Aveiro, because when I contacted them to do this, they said yes in a minute. So the first person, we tried to contact first another team. They couldn't do that, but then I said to Misa that these people from Aveiro are very good colleagues, and they would probably like to do it, and they said yes, and they did everything in a fantastic way. So we should say thanks to them, because they were really positive in a minute, and they did it with such a wonderful, let's say, will to contribute in our summer school.
Tina?
Hi, everyone. I just want to say that that year was the first year I attended, and I want to thank Mikael for accommodating me. And he was extremely responsive, and I couldn't make it all the days, and I just came for 3 days because I was writing my PhD thesis at the time. But I had a wonderful time. Thank you, Mikael. And I just want to add something here, that I hear you talking about your memories from all the schools. I think building memories is the most amazing thing ever, and we can live off memories now that we cannot meet actually, until we meet.
Yeah, one of the memories was the excursion that was organized by our Portuguese friends, and the wine tasting. I think I never had the better wine tasting experience as with the summer school.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, going to 2018 and speeding up a bit again. So this was a summer school where we continued the transition of the organization team. We did some other efforts, like we moved the website to EATEL, and we also went to a country where we had a certain risk of, not everybody knows where Albania is. There was a bit of too remote location, but still, as you can see on the photo, we had around 30 people, and there was a bit of a cozy format with 2 parallel sessions every day, and with a 2 wonderful keynotes. Anyone else wants to share memories here?
I can. This was my first summer school. At that time, I was in on my first year of doing my PhD, and it was really one of the best experiences, not only in my academic life, but in my life in general, I would say. I have never imagined that I would go to a country like Albania ever in my life, and this was really interesting to experience culturally very different country, and also to experience so many different academic cultures and cultures in general through the people who were there. Because there weren't too many people, I don't think that there is a single person that I haven't talked or discussed my research or life-related matters in the summer school. So it was really, really good. And for the first time, while doing my PhD, I felt like I belong somewhere, and that there is a community for me to work with and to be in. And really, this summer school is the event that I'm looking forward the most. And I was really devastated that it didn't take place this year, because it's so amazing and so very, very well organized. So thanks again, Mikhail, for steering the wheel. You're doing an amazing job. I don't know how you do it, but it's really amazing. Thank you.
Other memories? I'm very happy, of course, to hear all that. Don't put too much of responsibility for taking care of the summer school, my profile. What I started to do is to standardize the summer school a little bit, to distinguish what the local chairs, local organization people would do, how the call for participation would look, how the website would look, what kind of activities we would have, how do these activities structure, what do they have in objection, how does the program look and structured. Of course, that is all based on a lot of feedback that is collected on the other summer schools and all the tradition. And the summer school overall, even before I attended the first time as a PhD candidate, was complemented for a rich mix of educational and social and informal activities. And we really try to keep that and highlight that as a big advantage of the big feature of the event. All right, we now would like to go to the summer school in 2019. And what happened here is we decided to bring this standardization trends into really a serious level. And here the new president of EATEL, Marco Kals, really took a very active role in defining, or at least supporting the junior team and how the program should look like. And so we went up to 6 keynotes, and we removed all the lectures that people could submit. And thanks to our local chair, Daniela, we also found a new format for Wednesday where we combine a half-day social trip with a local TEL research community activities. And we also designed a new corporate style for the association and for the summer school. And we did a major website improvement also thanks to Daniela, thanks to Alejandro, and thanks to other PhD students in the community. This was also a great success in terms of participants, but all that, I think I would invite Daniela to share his memories in his journey from being a master's student in 2016 and being the chair, and I think one of the most successful local chairs of all summer schools in 2019.
Yeah, thanks, Mikhail. I think the summer school last year was really a lot of fun. And I said to myself, okay, if I felt really great at the previous summer school, then it's really the time for me to actually step and take an active role and organize it in my hometown, in my homeland where I come from. And I think because I always thought that's the perfect place where to organize a summer school. And indeed it was. I think we managed to find a great location, to find great speakers, and to organize an event which was with a lot of people and a lot of interesting sessions and activities and speakers. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it organizing it, and of course I enjoyed it attending and being there. So I was really sad when it was over.
I completely agree. It was a great event.
If I may add a follow-up both for the summer school from 2018 and from 2019, some of the best memories I've also had was having the chance to discuss research with people who are so well known in the TEL area. Like in 2018, I was discussing my research ideas with Professor Knoll, and I had lots of good feedback from Christian and Roland and everyone else. Those yeah, mentoring sessions are just amazing. Really, really, really good. Really, really good.
Anybody else here who joined the summer school community this year?
I made friends too that I still keep in touch. And you also convinced me to, Mikhail, you also convinced me to be part of the organizing committee in Greece the year after.
Making friends for life has always been something that the participants mention about the summer school. It seems just to be the way we work, the way our community is structured, or how weird we are, probably, that coming together allows us to find friends for life. So it's the same for me. And I remember I was giving at the first summer school a talk with Stefan Sobenik, who was sharing a room with Denis, because we had that concept that the students share a room, and someone didn't quite get it, that Denis is actually not a student anymore. He didn't mention a word, but it was quite funny.
Actually, I think I made a very good friend because of a mixture in rooms. So Mikhail asked me to stay with Evie, which I didn't even know, and we had to sleep in the same bed, and then we became friends. She's not here, I think, today. I don't know.
She's now in the airplane.
Ah, okay, okay.
All right.
Thanks, by the way.
Thank you, everybody, for sharing your memories. We have a slide for the Summer School 2020, for which we also raised quite a good number of amazing sessions, and we saw a steep increase in hardcore methodology workshops submitted by the community. And we again had a local TEL Researchers Day, and we did a full redesign of the website, which looks much more professional. However, something happened that prevented us from going to an amazing place in Greece. From here on, maybe I can give it to Maria, but asking her to be very brief.
Okay, I can be really brief. Well, we did a very good preparation, but the point is that we had this problem. We said that we will not cancel it, but we just postpone it for the next year. We had a very, let's say, very good communication with the hotel, and people are really professional, and they said that we can change the dates, we can ask for new dates. When we said we want the dates for 2021, they said, okay, let's see. But they gave us a positive reply. And this is wonderful because we can have, we will not change anything, just the dates. We can have the same services and keep, let's say, our contract as decided in the very beginning. And we're looking forward to organize it.
So, before we go to the announcement of the Summer School 2021, I would like also to share we would like to share something that we have been working on the meantime, while there is no face-to-face summer school. We looked back and did some analysis of the topics that appear in the summer school and also the types of sessions, and we call it now the Summer School Activity Framework. So it has been developed throughout the years, and you could see it also in the programs in the past couple of years, that all the sessions are divided into categories: thematic workshops, skills, soft skills workshop, methodology workshops, keynotes, informal sessions, and career sessions. And you can also see here on the graph how the number of these sessions, and we went back and we used the modern framework to tag or categorize all the sessions that were in the past. You can see there were quite some lectures or keynotes in the early years, but also quite a lot of thematic workshops and not so many workshops about the methodology and soft skills. And then there were spikes of different types of activity, like informal in 2010, or like the soft skills workshops in 2013. This is all based on the feedback from the previous years, but then you receive a different feedback the next year, so you go back to a more balanced approach. And I think from 2020 we have it in a balanced format. Now I would like to invite Friederling to also very briefly tell us about how the topics actually changed throughout the year.
So just a word about the changes. I predict that there will still be changes in the future, because funnily, I think these changes are a sign of us eating our own dog food. 2013, for example, that was around about the time when 21st century skills, the debate restarted again, and soft skills became more important. And that then, of course, influences the way we make the program. Or there was something similar in 2009-10 with regards to the other category. Michael and I went through the whole summer schools and sessions, coded them on the go, discussing about their categorization, and we ended up with something like, was it 100 tags that we applied to the sessions in total, something thereabouts.
Yeah.
That we then grouped together, and well, we didn't group that together. We used automated clustering to see what a clustering algorithm comes up with, and the proposal on a homogeneity level where it really made sense is the one that you see in front of you, where we differentiated between 6 types of sessions that we had, excluding the informal sessions. So just looking at the topics, that's personalized, contextualized, adaptive learning. That's the area then of ubiquitous learning, pervasive, immersive, social learning. That's the area above. Organizational learning, so the focus on corporate learning and on professional in the sense of being paid for. Learning environments, the more system-focused stuff in cluster 4. Cluster 5, the clustering algorithm came up with combining wearable enhanced learning and MOOCs, although they need to be split, of course, and MOOCs belongs rather to open education, to the 6th cluster. The paper in which we published this is coming up in Frontiers of Education. Take a look. It's a quite interesting analysis, I find. Yeah, things have changed over time, and I think only one of these topics at the moment is not as important as others. But again, I think since we're entering a new phase with wearable enhanced learning, AI, AR, VR, we can imagine that this topic resurfaces again when commoditization takes place and systems have to be built at scale. So I think the cluster structure proposed here is quite stable and shifts over time, just reflect the way research frontiers move in cycles.
Sorry for jumping forward and rushing. We will share, of course, the paper as soon as it's published, and that's about the summer school and the evolution in the last 15 years that we had time to look and reflect this year. Another brief update I would like to make here is the introduction of JTELSS, Doctoral Education in Technology Enhanced Learning, an international project funded by the Erasmus Plus program of the Commission. It has 4 major objectives: to identify good practices, and for that we're making a detailed survey, and I will talk about that in a minute. We ultimately would like to make a detailed program and open educational resources for the most useful and least available topics in technology enhanced learning, so that PhD candidates in the very beginning of their journeys would have educational materials that they can use for their awareness raising, and some of them for their training, and there would be both for the methods and on specific topics. We will also, we were planning, we don't know how that would go, to organize JTELSS winter schools. There's going to be a winter analog of the summer school with probably a bit less participants and a bit more standardized and shorter program, but a more quasi event and a more the higher ratio of trainers and senior researchers and a slightly less PhD candidates, kind of event where the generation would exchange views on doctoral education in this area. And of course, we are working and supporting the community, and that community is us, is the summer school. JTELSS survey is something that is being constructed at the moment, and that is actually completed to the point where we need volunteers. And if you are interested, you can contact me. We need volunteers to test the survey and to tell us if the formulations of the questions are clear, and if it takes too little or too long time, and this kind of feedback. So we are again making this survey to understand the needs of the PhD candidates in technology enhanced learning, and also their supervisors and all the practitioners. And we want to mostly identify what are the topics that are most useful and have least educational resources. So there is a link down below with just a bit more information about the survey, and it's going to open a bit later this month and will stay open until end of September. So we will send invitations to respond. It shouldn't take long, but it's going to be a very valuable contribution to the community and to the doctoral education in the field. Now, going back to the announcement of the Summer School 2021, Maria.
So we have good news. We can announce the JTEL 21. So the summer school will take place in the Simandro Beach Hotel. It's a 5-star hotel resort, in fact, located in sunny Chalkidiki. And as I said before, it will take place in the end of May 22 until 29 of May. As you see, the hotel it's a very, let's say, beautiful hotel, a beautiful resort built on the coastline. It offers several services like restaurants, bars. We can have outdoor swimming pools, tennis court, panoramic terrace, gardens. You can see we have a private beach equipped with umbrellas and beds. So very close to this hotel, we have also the Sunny Resorts, resort that it is the most posh, let's say, resort in Chalkidiki. So more things about the area. Chalkidiki is one of the most well-known summer destinations of Greece, blending the Aegean turquoise beaches with the pine trees, as you see here nearby the sea. The area, Chalkidiki, is located, so you can understand, it is located 83 kilometers from Thessaloniki. And the Thessaloniki is the second largest city of Greece. And Chalkidiki is a region in the north of Greece, in the area of Macedonia, projected to the southeast of the Aegean Sea. And we have 3 peninsulas, and as you can see, you cannot see, the map is small. We have 3 peninsulas, Kassandra, Sithonia, and Athos. And our hotel, it is located in the first peninsula. And it's really close also to the airport, the International Macedonia Airport of Thessaloniki. And it is connected connected in various ways, but we will find the best way to. We will give several transfer options for everybody, but more or less it takes an hour to go from the airport to the hotel. One other information that it is important is that we organize the local organization, and the support is made by the University of Macedonia and the SMILE lab, the lab where I work. And that means that we will also have the experience of JTEL 19, where we had also this visit in Baris University. We will have the possibility to go to the city as well, to Thessaloniki. This is our university, the University of Macedonia. It is located in the center of the city. And there is also, you can see there is an area of universities exactly in the center of the city. So we will have sessions during Wednesday there, and then we will have also a visit to the city, and in fact we will also gather a little bit, let's say, teams from the northern Greece in order to show and to show their work on ICT. And technology enhanced learning, and we will have I don't know, we don't have so far we don't have a schedule for the let's say, the excursion there. But we have many ideas, and we hope we're making them true. And we will also have an excursion on Sunday in the beginning in the area of Chalkidiki, so we can go to different villages. We can see also some historical places. We will see. We have plenty of ideas. So we will see what we are going to choose. But the whole idea is that we want to be optimist, let's say, and think that we are going to make it next year, and we're going to really have not an online summer school, as you said before, but a face-to-face one. And we will enjoy this area, and we will meet again and have a wonderful time as always.
Thank you very much, Maria. There is another.
You're welcome. And yes, it's a very nice. This is our beach, the beach front that we have. We will try to make the best that we can, so you can enjoy.
Well, I can add a small practical note that this year we announced the summer school very early, and it's a very preliminary announcement, given that we all can travel within Europe at least. The dates are final. We have the hotel, the venue booked, and if you submitted workshops, or those PhD students who submitted applications in 2020, you simply need a small note to myself about your wish to also participate in 2021, and you will be automatically accepted. So there is no need to create new applications and think about new other sessions. Now, the formal program is over for this event. We are 25 minutes late, but now the stage is open for any comments, any memories, any questions to anyone here. You're free to stay in this room and then have a chat. So it's a party time.
Can we just do a quick thing and all switch on the camera, and I don't know, for the recording, just say hello, JTELSS Summer School, or something like that, or
do we like take a picture?
Yeah, but we need to unshare the slides, yeah, because then we have this gallery view.
Wait a second, I will remove the slides from here.
And we can do a small video greeting from the times of pandemic to better times.
Now
exactly. I didn't say something else that I wanted to say. I want to add two things more before you do this. Okay. One thing is that I'm here in Chalkidiki now, and I have visited the hotel. The hotel is closed. It will remain closed. I need to say that for 2020. So they will open again when we will go there. So that's good for us at least. And one more thing is that in our committee we have Tina and Paraskevi that will help us. But if someone else also wants to support us in the organizing, generally support us during the summer school is welcome.
Maria, I volunteer.
Thank you. So we always need happy people who want to contribute. So it will be lovely to meet you and work with you.
Yeah, and also you can transport me to Greece because I have skills also there. I could help you locally.
Yes, we will have an amazing time.
Oh, that's
wonderful.
I know. That's wonderful. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's try this, people, because I need to leave. I hear the kids shouting downstairs. 1, 2, 3, JTELSS Summer School. How about that? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Unmute yourself. JTELSS Summer School. Didn't work. We try it again. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
JTELSS Summer School.
Summer School.